Get ready for the next battle. Fist like Tekken. Jump kick, put tips on you in a
Jason,
Yes.
let's talk about Tekken.
Okay, let's talk.
How do you feel
Tekken
about
talk.
how do you feel
Welcome
about
to Tekken talk?
Lay down on this leather couch and tell me about Tekken. Tell me about your experiences with Tekken.
Tekken was one of the early fighting games that I got into.
Yeah.
By getting into it means I played it without screaming profanities. This is after Pit Fighter, the original Tekken. It was around the time X-Men: Children of the Atom was out. I was playing that around the same time. I like Tekken.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite fighting games, which is kind of like, admittedly, I'm going to get my bias out up here up front. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like my favorite way to get kicked in the nuts.
Well, that is as good an intro as any to talking about Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Tekken DOS.
Yes, I feel like you should. Every time I say that, I feel like I should try to say it 5 times fast.
Yeah. Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Tekken
Flavin.
Tournament. Okay, so this is the. It seems like Tekken Tag. That was a long time ago. Which apparently they have they have a plan to they'll release 3 Tekken games and they release 1 tag game. So you had 1, 2, 3, Tekken 1, 2, and 3, and then Tekken Tag, and then we've had 4, 5, and 6, and now Tekken Tag 2.
There was a Tekken 6?
Yeah.
God, I've just lost count. We probably played it. I can't even keep track anymore.
It was I think it came out right before I came on and started cracking the whip on everybody to make sure that we played everything. So but yeah, this is Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and this is Tekken.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times we can say Tekken in this podcast?
It's Tekken, and the tag apparently, as we learned, and there are a lot of you who are going to know more about Tekken than we do. But it exists in its own little kind of side story. It's out of the Tekken continuity.
Yeah.
Which has apparently been developed in like comic books and movies and stuff like that.
You haven't read the last 4 Tekken novels?
No,
they're really good. They're really good.
Really?
Yeah, J.K. Rowling writes them.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, pointy-haired guy number 47. Yeah. Pointy-haired guy.
Well, I tell you what, the roster of this game has more Mishimas in it that I can keep track of anymore.
Yeah.
Like it used to just be Kyuza, then it was Kyuza and Heihachi. And then they brought in Jin, and there was Devil Jin, and there was Jinpachi, and now there's a brand new Mishima.
Yeah. It's like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, you need the Wikipedia article just to keep track of who.
A flow chart.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the alternate universe Tekken, so they could bring in. I think it's fucking like 50 different playable characters in this game, somewhere around there.
It's huge. Well, it was funny because when we were doing the happy hour. It splits them right down the middle, and I was only choosing from the right side because I was like, okay, look. And then I looked over and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's half of the people I have to choose from. And what was the game that we played recently where there were only like a handful of people?
Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Yeah.
Well, there was also Persona 4 Arena, which had even fewer than both
Persona
of those.
4 didn't have shit.
Yeah, it was like 10 guys or whatever.
It was a totally different approach to the genre.
But you know what? You could make an argument to say that when you have 50 different characters in a fighting game, that's a lot of people to keep track of, like who they're. I mean, even if you pick one person to play and master, you still have to kind of keep track of who everybody is and what their moves are and what they can do and what they can't do. It's a hell of an investment. I mean, I'd almost say that in certain ways, I maybe found Persona 4 a little bit more accessible just because you could mess with all those characters and feel like you were starting to get a handle on them instead of having to deal with all 50 of these guys. But being said,
there's no way. I mean, I was like, okay, this guy's a bear. This guy is a bear.
There's 2 bears. This game has 2 bears.
There are 2 bears. One of them farts on you, which you will not see coming. I was like, okay, and this one, he's a bear, so he probably doesn't know karate. But no, he knows bear karate.
Bear karate. Well, there's bear karate, and there's panda karate,
there's
and
panda
there's
karate. There's
raptor karate, and
there's lizard foo.
Kangaroo karate as well.
Kangaroo.
I
don't know. Just that was. I'm sorry. We'll edit that out.
So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of hard. I guess if you've never played Tekken before, what the fuck is wrong with you? But beyond that, Tekken is interesting. It's a 3D fighter that deals with mostly juggling and really kind of complicated combos and it kind of is combo escape stuff. And it is, outside of Virtua Fighter, maybe the most like razor sharp and technically focused fighter that I've played in a while.
There's not any margin for error.
Yeah, the game does not cut you shit for slack.
Yeah, it can be very unforgiving. And there are a lot of moves that I'll be sitting there during the training trying to pull off, and I'm certain that I'm doing it.
Yeah,
but it's my button pushing comes down. If it's a fraction of a second off.
Yeah.
And it's not even complicated stuff either. It's like moving to the left.
Right.
It's like, no. I didn't want to jump. I wanted to move to the left. It's the, weird, janky, quasi 3D fighting stuff. So it can be, you have to be exceptionally precise for a lot of it. So yeah, it can be really frustrating.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the, I'm going to make quote fingers here so everybody can hear me. The training in this game. I was
What Fight Lab.
Yeah, Fight Lab with Combat and Violet, and is that the guy's name? Violet, right? Something like that.
I think
purple
so.
hair dude.
Yeah,
and his assistant. It's kind of integrated. It has its own little story. It's got like comic book style cutscenes, and it's basically trying to teach you how to play the game. But oh my god, is it really irritating about trying to teach you how to play the game.
Yeah.
Like it is not forgiving whatsoever. It's not like, oh yeah, sure, we're just gonna have a good time and learn all the moves. It's like, no, there's bombs on these guys. They're gonna blow up if you hit them in the wrong fucking place.
Oh yeah, because it's like, okay, now here's your training. It's filled with explosive balloons.
Yeah, don't step on any of these. Which I mean, in a certain respect, it's a good way to kind of drill you into learning certain things about the game one step at a time. I guess I just wish that they had backed it up a little bit more and they had like the very rudimentary training. Because they go through, move left, move right, dodge, and all that stuff, and then they start bringing you into the attack stuff, and they make you do these attacks over and over and over and over again on enemies. But the main problem that I have is that they'll give you a sequence of 3 things that you're supposed to do, but then they give you 1 health bar, and if you fuck it up too much, you've got to go all the way back to the beginning of that sequence and start back over again. You're just like, dude, I just want to learn how to do I don't want to learn how to make Devil Jin shoot lasers out of his eyes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to beat up on this version of Jack 6 for 2 hours before I can learn how to do that.
Yeah, and you only use the robot.
Yeah, combat. Yeah, you only ever use combat. But they do have they have an interesting thing in there where it's like you can go, as you play, you can unlock, you can essentially program combat to be your own fighter. Like you can switch the stuff around so that you can kind of customize your own fighter, which is cool because there's a lot of customization in this game as well.
Yeah, it's really a rich game, which is good and bad because I've found that with fighting games, the barrier for entry every year just goes up and up and up since their launch. I mean, since really the kind of the dawn of the fighting game. And I'm not talking about like Karate Champ. I'm talking about, the heyday of Street Fighter 2,
right,
Mortal Kombat and stuff like that back in the waning days of the arcade. It's becoming increasingly difficult where if you've never really played a fighting game before, I would be hard pressed to recommend one to you.
Well, that's actually a really interesting point because we had Street Fighter Cross Tekken that had the gem system that would essentially augment the player. You could have stuff happen automatically. Like if you took too much damage, it would start to boost your defense or it would boost your attack. And then in something like Persona 4 Arena, they had very simple one-button, jam on this one-button combos that you could do that made you feel badass. This game, though, doesn't really have any of that. And it kind of suffers from that idea of how do you make a game where the people who are master pros at Tekken are going to be getting something out of it, but then people who just want to fucking get high and play Tekken, they can also get something out of it.
Yeah.
And I feel that this game hews way far in the direction of pro Tekken people and not as much towards.
Yeah. Well, I know. I really think that's the case with most fighting games because, I mean, again, if you're not into fighting games, you used Street Fighter Cross Tekken as an example.
Yeah.
I still think that one is pretty impenetrable as well. Fighting games really aren't my thing. I think Soul Calibur is actually pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Because, and a lot of people, a lot of fighting game pros sneer at me and say that's like training wheels, for video games, for fighting games. But I really do think that all of those, I mean, all fighting games, if you were to give it to someone who had never really played one or maybe kind of messed around with one a few times, you're going to be just completely lost and confused and frustrated and like you're trying to do your taxes with a lawnmower.
Now, on the other hand, if you are, super pro at Tekken for the last 5 years or whatever, I think this game is going to be 100% up your alley.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Yeah. I mean, they've boiled at least the most refined Tekken style fighting that I could see here out of this game. Like it's so there's so many ways that you can reverse stuff, and you can kind of there's all these juggle mechanics and special moves and stuff like that if you're good at this game, you can throw somebody up in the air like fucking Dante from Devil May Cry and just keep them there for 20 minutes, without really any way for them to get out of it. Plus, when you just run down the features of this game, like it doesn't have the previous Tekkens have had like an adventure mode or bowling mode or stuff like that, and it doesn't have that. But you've got a full arcade mode for all 50 of those characters with an ending cinematics. You've got the crazy hat mode we haven't even touched on yet.
Right.
You can take your character and you can essentially buy them the most insane wardrobe that man has ever conceived. Like, you're going through and you're like, okay, here's a hat, here's a beanie, here's pink pigtails, here's a crank, like a toy that goes on their back.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? Like, you just kind of start going down. It's like, okay, here's a T-shirt, here's knight armor, here's angel wings, here's a halo,
here's a 1977 Ford Thunderbird.
Yeah. and what's interesting about that is that actually some of those things can be used in gameplay. Like, there's certain stuff like the swords and guns and stuff that you can actually use to augment your gameplay, which kind of gives you a way of, especially when you go online, customizing your particular fighter, which I didn't actually get a chance to go online, but you did. So I know there were a lot of complaints in the last game about lag and the connectivity and stuff.
I didn't encounter any of that this time. It was really smooth. You didn't find yourself waiting in a lobby for very long.
Yeah.
And while you're waiting, you get to use one of the characters you chose to brawl with one of the combots.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that was neat. But yeah, you jump on and you can fight in ranked matches or unranked matches, and it generally, I think it's like plus or minus 4 levels of your skill levels or how you're rated.
Because each character in the game is ranked up individually as you use them.
Yeah, with some sort of crazy dojo honor system of Kyus and Dans and Steves or whatever. I don't know.
I'm 4th Steve, by the way.
You're 4th Steve?
Yeah, 4th Steve.
I'm a 7th Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to get up to 1st Julio, but I don't think I'll ever make it.
I'm just trying to get my George belt. That's
your
what
George
I'm going
belt.
for.
Good luck with that one, buddy. Yeah, it's so you're playing with either ranked or unranked, and there are going to be good, bad people on there. It's just like playing online with anything else. But it's got a pretty good matchmaking system, and I thought it ran really smoothly. I didn't really encounter myself any glitches or bugs or anything like that were just maddening. Because I know when we tried to play with Persona, that we just would sit there forever trying to get online.
Yeah, that was. I don't know. I think that might have been launch day jitters, but
right.
But I guess my real question is, did you have any fun playing online, or was it just a stomp fest? Was it just people, those pro Tekken people that I was talking about?
Look me in the eyes, Jeff.
Oh, okay. I'll look away.
Look me in the eyes and just didn't ask yourself, shit, do I really want to go down this road with him? Yeah, I got my ass handed to me, of course. But, there are some people on there, fortunately, that suck just as bad as I did.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it was, I was definitely on the lower tier. And there were some guys on there who were just maniacs, of course, who would just, like, sending you through the meat grinder the moment they said fight, And, but then, yeah, there were some others who were obviously, I was like, wow, are you even looking at the TV? What are you doing? So it was all over the place.
Somebody off making a sandwich, their dog is like stepping on the controller.
Yeah, AFK. But yeah, it was. There's also a thing on there where you can, and I didn't get a chance to do this, but you can join teams, and you're, it's like basically like joining a gang. Kind of like in Hybrid. On the on Xbox Live, I guess. Yeah, you join teams, and you've got your little banner or whatever, your team name. And the teams get ranked and everything. So that's an option too if you want to get into the whole community of it, and of course leaderboards and stuff like that, which I didn't even want to look at because it would just make me depressed.
Well, speaking of looking at stuff, I don't know, man. I gotta say, all things considered, this may be one of the best looking fighting games that I've ever seen on
It
the
is
console.
gorgeous. There's a lot of environmental stuff, which I'm always a fan of.
Yeah.
You can knock people off of balconies, and follow them down, go through floors and stuff like that. But yeah, the levels are just really gorgeous looking. The animations are smooth and fluid. They really capture just exactly how batshit crazy some of the characters look.
Yeah.
Which is pretty damn crazy. Even the most normal guy you would avoid on the street.
Not to mention the dude with snakes for arms.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, remember fighting games when they started off? You're like Street Fighter. Okay, well, you got this guy. He's like a fakir. Dalsim. He's weird. Oh, his hands stretch out. That's crazy.
And then you've got Crazy Monster Man.
Yeah, and you've got this one dude who's a crazy monster dude.
Yeah.
Everybody else, okay, the fat dude,
right.
the military guy.
Yeah.
And then in Mortal Kombat, oh my God, what? That dude's a snake under that thing. Holy shit!
What is
Did you
Goro?
see that?
What even is that?
Yeah, oh my. Now Tekken's just like, we are going to throw it all out and just bring in all the crazy. Everything. And it's like, even if they're normal, they're dressed like they just rolled around in an American apparel and then ran into an army surplus store. And it's like, did you even look at how you dressed?
They got like two different robot men. They got robot ladies. They got snake arms and fucking disco pimps.
Disco pimps wearing, like a Simon game on him.
Tron pimps.
Yeah. Yes, military steel jack dude.
Yeah. It's a testament that there's actually a good dozen people in this game who look like regular old people.
Kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. And then there's like 20 who skate the edge, and then there's another 10, like Jinpachi, who have the world's most awesome facial hair that I wish I could have.
That is definitely a sign of virility.
Yeah. when your beard sticks up in the wrong direction.
Yeah. When you could impale someone with your beard.
But yeah, it just really like super good looking game. All of the characters have fully rendered CG cutscene endings, which are ridiculous and funny and awesome in that crazy Tekken way. And there's just, I don't know, like there's a lot of value proposition to this. So anything we haven't talked about? You would go ahead and
I think we covered it all. Yeah, it's it's tough if you're not into fighting games. I don't know that this would be a good place to start. That said, I don't know that there is a good place to start.
Yeah.
But it is a damn good Tekken game. It's just they really put everything worthwhile in there. I can't think of anything that's really missing. They just pack so much in there. It is a little unforgiving. The controls have to be exceptionally precise. But it's also, it can even be a hell of a lot of fun, even if you're not that into fighting games. So I give it a full price.
I think I'm going to give it a full price as well. I agree with pretty much everything that you said. The only thing that I might say is just, if you're looking for my first fighting game, this is definitely not it.
Right.
I think there are some options out there for people who maybe want to get into a fighting game that are better.
Deadliest Warrior.
Yes, Deadliest Warrior. That's where you should start. But, if you're any kind of Tekken fan at all, I think this one's a no-brainer. With the netcode being worked out, at least better, it sounds like, than it was in Tekken 6, the huge roster of characters, all of the stuff to keep you coming back and playing, this is just a phenomenal value proposition. So yeah, I'd definitely give it a full price.
I just want to see a fighting game where it's got normal people throwing down, no giant Bob the fat ass lumberjack dude. I want to see, okay, here is Gene. He is a math teacher. His wife recently left him, and he had a nervous breakdown. So he had to quit his job at the lab.
Yeah.
And now he's substitute teaching, and his special move is breaking down and crying and drinking an entire bottle of schnapps.
They already made a Fight Club game. It was terrible.